Okay. Tips for writing fiction, 4 ways to develop a great story. Now, hello everyone, and welcome again to another session of Walking with Randy. I'm Randy Carney here, and Walking with Randy is where we talk about writing, speaking, coaching, marketing, and marriage. And so today I've got a new stand for my camera here. I'm not sure how well this is going to work, but we'll see. So today we're talking about writing, tips for writing fiction, 4 ways to develop a great story. And as we think about these 4 ways of developing a great story, we will have our tips placed into 4 different categories of tips. There will be personal, and then practical, and then general, and then specific. Writing fiction, 4 ways to develop a great story. The first way is to make the story your story. This is our category of personal tips. So you want to make the story your story. It should be a story that you love, a story that you would like to read, and you want to put yourself into it. And then you want to make it your personal journey. Now, as you do that, you don't have to be involved in it actually being an autobiography, although you might use elements of your own life story for you. Well, secondly, we have some practical tips. First of all, write every day. Now, I resisted journaling for many years because I didn't know what to write about. I didn't feel like I would be very good at it. And even when I had past attempts at writing diaries, even though I know what I was talking about, I was going to have trouble getting started doing that. But in the past year and a half or so, I have discovered that I do like journaling. And the secret has been, I just pick up the pen and start writing whatever comes to mind. And so sometimes it is a diary entry. Sometimes I talk about ways of doing things. Sometimes I talk about ideas for the future. But I just write whatever comes to mind, and that is free flow writing. Now, whenever you're writing your actual book, of course you will be writing daily in that regard. But so write every day, and then read other stories. When you find a fiction writer that you really like, then read a lot of his stories and read other fiction writers. Then be procrastination and writer's block. Now, I don't have time to go into all of that right at the moment, but my book on how to write a book in 28 days or less goes into that in detail. One of the things that it involves is breaking your project down into smaller projects. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do you write a book? Write a chapter. So you want to chunks. And then practice free, where you just write as fast as you can and let the words come. Don't correct that spelling mistake you obviously made right then. Don't correct that typo right then. Keep writing. Get the flow of the story going and practice that free flow writing. And then after you have your rough draft done, or whatever section you want to edit, read it aloud to yourself. So we've had a story, and then we've had some practical tips. Let's go into general tips while you're writing your fiction. First of all, ask questions. You can make your main character ask some questions. You can have the minor characters asking questions. But you want to think of what questions your readers might have, and then ask those questions. Or for you to be able to write, ask yourselves questions about the story. Ask yourself, how did they get in that predicament? Ask yourself, How are they going to get out of that? Ask yourself what comes next. But ask questions. And then withhold some information. Maybe withhold a lot of information. You don't have to give the whole story, the whole autobiography. What you need to do is to give enough info for the story. And then you know where the book is going and where the story is going. So withhold info to where you can have surprises along the way. And then use action and active voice. Now, active voice is where the subject performs action. Passive voice is where the action is being done to the subject. For instance, the ball was hit. In that case, you have the subject, the ball, and the action was being done to the subject. But you can change that around and say, the batter hit the ball. In that case, the subject is performing the action. Now, the way to find this when you look at your manuscript is to look for am, is, are. But many times, the connection is breaking is the reason why I'm stopping like that. But many times, you can rewrite those sentences to where they will be put into active voice. So those are some general tips while writing. Now for specific tips while you're writing your fiction story. Give the main character a problem. Then get him into trouble quickly. Get her into trouble very early in your story. Now, granted, the first part of your story, a lot of information about your character's regular life before she gets thrust into the life-changing aspects of the story. But even at that, you want to get them into trouble as quickly as possible. And then as the story progresses along, intensify the problem. Make it worse in their minds and in your minds. And in each scene, have progress and setbacks. And to correct the problem seems only to make things worse. So, show the attempts to correct the problem, making things worse. And then finally, make it where it seems hopeless. Now, you know the way out because you know where you're going with the story. But you write it in such a way that the character doesn't know how he or she is going to get out of it. And then you guide them down the path to where they get the resolution to the problem. And that will make for some exciting fiction as you're writing your story. Well, I hope this has been helpful to you. And if you would like more tips like these, go to randycarney.com. If you would like more information about how to write a book, go to amazon.com and look for How to Write in 28 Days or Less Without Stressing Yourself by Randy Carney. Well, I hope that you have a great day. And until the next time for Walking with Randy, remember, you can write a book.